So what is it? What have I found? What has Andrew and Ephraim found for us on Cheetah Plains? Have you guessed yet? Should we show them now, Brian? Let's show them. There we go. There we go. It is Quarantine. I know he's a firm favorite of a lot of our viewers. Karula's last successful litter produced these two beautiful boys, Quarantine and Kunyuma. Now this is Quarantine. He's looking a little bit miserable this morning with the weather. He's sitting atop a termite mound. He's managed to find himself a nice little nook that's quite protected from the wind. So he's probably 80 meters from the last place we actually saw him here on Cheetah Plains. He's just to the south of 3 in a row pan. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? He's growing so much, you can start seeing the thickness in the neck now. So I know a lot of you are as excited as I am to catch up with this leopard. When I arrived at Safari Live, he was the leopard we saw the most. Oh, it's difficult to see how full he is, but I think he's looking a little bit hungry. I hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots. Remember to share the screenshots on our Facebook page, Safari Live, or pop them on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. I'm going to snap a few pics quickly. Well, hi Mike in Florida. Mike says he was literally about to tweet that he misses the Quarantine male leopard. Well, there we go, Mike. Especially for you on this sunrise safari, we have Quarantine. He is such a beautiful male leopard. He's just over 4 years old now. So another year or two before he's really big enough to start challenging for his own territory. At the moment he's what we refer to as a dispersal male leopard. So what that means is he's been pushed out of his natal territory and he sort of jigs and jags trying to avoid the dominant male leopards in the area. And one of the reasons that they are pushed out of their mother's territory is to stop inbreeding. Although big cats can inbreed for up to 6 generations without any adverse genetic effects, it is an evolutionary development that they are moved away from where their mothers are and therefore possibly their sisters. Because female leopards will sequester a tiny section of their territory to their daughters. He's moved probably 10 or 15 kilometers from his natal territory, but in some cases dispersal male leopards have been recorded moving over 400 kilometers from where they were born. Oh, getting comfy. So Dawn's wondering, how does a leopard's fur feel? Is it soft or is it coarse? Well, the belly fur is quite soft. It's not nearly as soft as a domestic cat, for example, but it is less coarse than a lion's. How's that, Brian? His head's really tucked in there. I'm just making some space for Abel to come in behind us. Now, of course, you don't really want to stroke a leopard to feel its fur. Even though they look so pretty and clean, they are not. Lots of ticks, ectoparasites, mites, and also a very strong possibility of getting tapeworms, liver flukes. So if you ever do handle a leopard, it's always best to wear gloves. And so the wind is coming from the south, which is from behind that termite mound. So he's got that little ridge there that's protecting him from the wind. Nice little warm spot. Karula's last successful litter, so before these current cubs, she had one other litter in between that was unfortunately killed by hyenas. So this is her last successful litter. She had 2 boys, and from a leopard dynamic, they could be born to a male up in the north, or they could be born to Mvula, or they could even be born to Tingana. Karula's probably mated with all 3 of those at that stage. I think there was another male leopard around, but that was before my time. But it's very, very difficult to guess who the male leopard is without the genetics. So the only way to tell a leopard's father is actually to do genetic tests, and there is an ongoing study, so hopefully in the next year or so we will find out who exactly is daddy dearest to Quarantine, Djuma, and some of the other leopards around here. I see, even though he's an absolutely flat cat, his ear does a little pan around like a little radar dish, seeing if he can pick up the sound of any creatures. Well, Quarantine and Brian and myself have not moved a muscle. We're still sitting next to the termite mound. I am hoping he might get up and get moving at some point, maybe go for a drink at 3 in a row pan, or even just pop his head up so we can see his pretty face. He is very, very, very still at the moment. Anderson, compared to Quarantine, quite a lot bigger. I mean, he's one of the biggest leopards I've ever seen. I guess him to be around 90 kilograms, just over 200 pounds. I'd say Quarantine's probably not 150 pounds yet. So he's still got quite a bit of growing to do. Now, he definitely looks more comfortable than we are, because we're right in the wind, and he's got his little nook there to hide from the wind. Sit here hoping for this big cat to get moving. Let's go to Stella. I'd like to know, why do leopards have white bellies? Now, that is a very interesting question, because as you can see, the rest of their body is covered in those spots to try and make sure the other animals can't see them. And those elephants walked straight past here and didn't see that leopard on top of the termite mound. The reason they have white bellies is possibly because they can absorb or dispel heat. So even though it's cold now, you can see the leopard's curled in a little ball. But when it is very hot, they tend to lie with their legs open. So white reflects heat, and all the big cats don't like the heat that much. Even though they live in hot places, they tend to try and move around when it's cool. So the white belly of a lion or a leopard is going to reflect the heat a little bit, so try to keep them a little bit cooler. Although he doesn't need to reflect heat this morning, it's very chilly. They can run up to about 50 kilometers an hour, so much faster than a person, and they can keep it up for a lot longer of a distance. So they can probably keep that up for a couple of 100 meters. Now, of course, a leopard is faster than an elephant, but a leopard is faster for a shorter time. Now, a leopard does about 24 meters per second when they're at top speed, which is just under 90 kilometers an hour. but they only keep that up for a very, very short space of time. Now that's because they are ambush predators. Now what makes leopards so unbelievably adaptable and able to utilize so many different habitats is their hunting strategy, and they can be very, very patient. Now he's in a good spot here because there's water right behind us, so there's a chance that an impala or a little duiker or a steenbok, which are the most common antelope in this habitat, and kudu as well, might come for a drink and might not see him on that termite mound because he's so flat there that he might be able to find himself some dinner, or in this case breakfast. Now remember, yesterday we talked about habitats not only being the big things, so the leopard is actually lying on a habitat itself. It is a termite mound. Now if we come out a little bit, you can see it's a very big one, and it is still an active one. If you go, you see the open chimney there, Brian? So now termites are farmers, so they're actually another animal that can make their own habitat. So they build these fantastically large termite mounds, and they open and close these chimneys to keep it at about 32 degrees Celsius, because that's the perfect temperature to farm fungus, which is like mushrooms, and that's their favorite food. Top of them, it gives them a nice high spot to check around. Also, other animals like snakes and scorpions and spiders will also live on termite mounds. And one of the strangest little creatures out in the African bush also lives on a termite mound. It's called an African thief ant. Now it's a type of ant that is so tiny you need a magnifying glass or a microscope to see most of the workers. And the reason they like to live on the side of termite mounds is their favorite food is baby termites. But they're so small the termites can't see them. So they go into the termite mounds and carry the baby termites away back to their little mound, which will be on the side of the termite mound, and then they can eat the baby termites. But they're so small that the soldier termites who are there to protect the babies can't even see them. Hi, Shania. Shania would like to know, oh, he's opened his eye. He's listening to you, Shania. He likes the sound of your name. Panaya, sorry. Likes the sound of your name. Oh, or has he heard something else? Are we going to get another bunch of elephants appear behind us? But a leopard has a white tip to its tail. It's called a following mechanism. It's more for female leopards when they have babies, that they're able to see mom's tail go through the bush. So, because leopards see in black and white, so things that are dark, blacks, like black behind the leopard's ears, and the white tip of the tail, they're going to be able to see a lot more easily, and that makes it easier for the babies to follow the moms. Or is he going to get up and get moving? Now, on both of our game guides, we've seen leopards sleeping. And Sophie would like to know, why do leopards sleep so much? Well, it looks like he might wake up for a little bit. Now, Sophie, they sleep so much because they have trouble dispelling heat, and that's why they have that white tummy again. Now, a leopard, on average, will sleep for about 18 hours a day. So what happens is they use so much energy when they hunt that they have to rest quite a lot. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to hunt again very soon. So when they sleep for 18 hours a day, it's not normally 18 hours in a row. They will get up and move, and then sleep again and get up and move. But they don't sleep as much as lions. Now, the reason for that is they're a bit smaller, so they don't utilize as much energy as a lion when they move. Now, I'm hoping he stands up for us and goes out hunting. Wouldn't that be exciting? Now, even though he has been napping, he's very alert. Now, if you look at his ears, They're always moving around like little radar dishes, picking up all the sounds around him. And this is one of our favorite leopards. We haven't seen him in quite a long time, so it's quite exciting to see him. Isn't he just beautiful? Now, as I was saying about habitats, leopard of the big cats can live in the most different habitats. They've even been found, they found a frozen leopard on Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, which is the highest mountain in Africa, and it looked like that leopard was right up in the snow line, and then he got caught by a snowstorm. Oh, it looked like he might have heard something there. Could there be some impala coming down for a drink? Could there be some steenbok coming down for a drink? Or has he heard the sound of a potential danger, like a hyena or a lion? Or another big male leopard, because he's still quite young. We're going to wait here. Hopefully he moves soon. If he moves, we'll be right back. But while we do that, let's go across to Steph. So he popped his head back down and went fast to sleep again. Now, as I said, it's a good spot for him. There's water just behind us, so there's quite a good chance that he might get some breakfast. Hi, Savannah! Savannah wants to know, why do leopards have whiskers? Now, there's quite a few different reasons why an animal would have a whisker. And in leopard's case, they can actually pick up vibrations and things with that. And specifically, you might be able to feel something through there. But there are sensory organs, so there's a whole bunch of nerves. And unfortunately, we don't understand as much about those whiskers as we would like to. So there are some people much smarter than us who are looking into it. But my understanding is they can pick up certain vibrations, and it helps them as a sort of early warning system if they're in danger or with prey around. So very, very interesting stuff, but we don't know as much as we think we do sometimes about the animals out here. And that's one of the amazing things about spending so much time with them, is that you learn new things every single day. And we might, I think while he's sleeping like this, we might move around. We're going to come back to him. Are the leopard and the cheetah. So we'll wait a second before we leave him snoozing and go have a look at a different habitat that's down here, because we're in a different area to where we were yesterday. So Nina's saying, besides the tear marks, how do you tell the difference between a leopard and a cheetah? Well, we have a look at him. He's got rosettes, so he doesn't really have proper spots. So I'll try and move a little bit closer so Brian can zoom. You can see there's sort of 3 darker spots, sometimes 4 with a sort of orangish in the middle. But when we look at a cheetah, now if we look at the skin of a cheetah, there we go. It's just, how's that, Brian? Am I holding it at the right angle? So the light is very bad today, guys. It's very overcast. There we go. Now you can see a cheetah's just got single spots. Also, their body shape is very different. Cheetah are taller than leopard, but they weigh less. So they've got to weigh less because they've got to run faster for longer. So a leopard is an ambush predator, so they'll pounce out of the bush very quickly and run for a very short time, whereas a cheetah will often run for more than 100 meters. A leopard will very seldom run for longer than 20 meters. So he's snoozing, and those elephants have gone. Well, on our adventures, we saw some zebra, we saw some wildebeest, and we've come back, and fortunately, the leopard has decided not to move before we got back here. Oh, here comes his own! Oh, look at those teeth! Oh, they are such beautiful creatures. Now you can see the long whiskers. Oh, another yawn. Now, when big cats start yawning, there's a chance they might start moving. And a bit of licking. Oh, I think he just got bitten by a termite or something, or maybe even a scorpion. Something stung him and it made him jump to the other side of the termite mound. Oh, he's got something funny in his mouth. We could have a termite soldier biting his tongue. He looks very unimpressed with it. But there we go, he gave you a bit of action. Rodine, it's been fantastic having you with us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. You bring such good luck, and now you get to meet the thumb. So that's actually who controls the camera, not Brian, it's the thumb. But been great having you. We're going to stick with this leopard, and maybe next time I'll tell you what happens after you guys go back to school. Isn't this exciting? Quarantine. I think what happened is he got a termite soldier on his tongue, and he's looking quite unimpressed with that. Hello, Mr. Q. Oh, he is just a gorgeous leopard. How's that, Brian? Do you want to go a little bit more forward? Oh, there's a stick in the way. I'm just going to go past it. There he is. Still licking his chops. I hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots. It's so wonderful to catch up with them again. Now, if this is, and what is Mr. Quarantine, he's true to form. There we go. He likes to pose for screenshots and photographs. He's looking very upset with whatever he ate. Oh, another yawn coming. Hi, Marianne. Marianne's in Boston. Marianne says, Brent and Brian, do you remember when we found them sleeping on the bush dinner site? We definitely do. There's no ways we could forget that. Okay, on cue, Mr. Quarantine, look at the lens. Oh, no, he looked past the lens. And I actually think I might have a copy of that photograph with me. I'll see if I can find it and then show it to everyone. So what I think happened is he licked his foot like that, and I think there was a termite soldier on his foot, and it immediately clamped onto his tongue and gave him a bit of a fright. So it looks like he might go for a bit of a walk, and we're definitely going to hang around, not go anywhere, see where he goes. Hi, Shannon. Shannon's in Ohio. Shannon says this might be a dumb question. No such thing. Shannon, only a dumb answer. Shannon wants to know, do they only sleep during the day or do they sleep at night too? They do sleep at night as well as during the day, Shannon. So, depending on how full they are and lots of different things, but they will sleep at night as well. Now, I'm wondering if I have that picture. Hi, Crystal, who's in California. And Crystal's wondering, is there ever going to be a time when there just isn't enough space for a leopard to disperse? Well, I think we have reached that to a degree already, Crystal, and oh, nice little rollover. And unfortunately, some male leopards are pushed into areas where they are not really welcome anymore. Now, I'm hoping he doesn't head too far to the north. We'd much prefer him to stay right where he is. Now, he does look like he's a little bit hungry. Okay, so we were chatting about that wonderful sighting we had of him sleeping on the bush dinner site, and I thought I had them here. And that's how we, let me go, oopsie, I dropped my camera there. Brian, tell me whether let's move or face it down. So that's how we spotted him. There he is there. And he was sleeping on top of the table. Look at that. Isn't that a comfy leopard? Let me take my scarf off. I think my scarf is reflecting. Or if I do that, Brian, is that better? Oh, there he is, sleeping on top of the table, looking very comfortable. Right. Look at that. Oh, he's up, so let's stick with live quarantine rather than pictures of quarantine. Maybe I'll go for a drink. Sham's son is wondering, could quarantine pose a threat to Karula's cubs, or is he still too young? No, he definitely does pose a threat if he were to come back to Djuma. But currently where he is, he doesn't pose a threat at all. He's quite far away from where they are. At the moment, the bigger threats to Karula's cubs would be Mvula and Sindile. Hi, Terry in Oklahoma. Terry would like to know, do I think if Mvula is Quarantine's father? Terry, I have no idea. And I'm not going to guess. It could easily be Mvula, it could be Tingana, it could be an unknown male leopard in the north. And he is an absolutely stunning leopard, this guy. Oh, he might go back to the top of his termite mound for another snooze. I love how they flatten their ears when they climb a termite mound initially to get a nice little view around. So is he going to sleep again? Or has he learnt his lesson? No, he's going to go down again. He's just... Oh, Brian, I think we don't even need to move. That's quite pretty. I still found the fact that he got bitten by a termite very funny. Hi, Douglas in Arizona. Douglas would like to know, was it not Quarantine who climbed a tree to watch the last fireside chat of Big Cat week 2014? Brian, you were actually filming that, weren't you?
Yep, it was him indeed.
And there we go. Brian was there, and it definitely was the Quarantine male. Now, on a cool day like today, he could move, but I think it's definitely going to be worth coming to follow up on him on a sunset safari. But we're going to stick with him for the rest of the sunrise safari, that's for sure. So while we sit here waiting to see what Quarantine does next, let's go see what the winter farm. But for the last couple of seconds of drive, let's not look at my ugly mug, let's look at his pretty mug.